Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new Hypixel Skyblock video. So this is kind of a tutorial video for Skyblock, my first one ever, and basically in this video I'm going to be telling you guys how to get damage from talismans in Skyblock. This is the Hotslicer Talisman Spam Guide. So first of all, what are talismans? So if you're new to Skyblock and you don't really know what talismans are, you kind of heard of them. Basically, you've probably heard this a lot, but talismans are just these various items that boost your stats. So when I was first talisman spamming, getting the talismans, I really didn't understand the true use of talismans. I just looked at the small stat boost, 2 strength or 8 crit damage, and did not really understand why this was so important. However, you have to look at the big picture, which is kind of hard to do when you have no talismans and you're trying to get more damage. With all of these talismans, I get lots of stats. Stats that are completely unprecedented. Even though each individual stat looks small, especially for the common talismans, you have to believe that they will add up, because they certainly do add up. So, to demonstrate to you how important this is, I'm going to be doing this. So I'm going to take all my talismans out of my inventory, all of them. Alright, so then now I have that first batch of talismans, you can see out here. And then let me take that second batch out. So then as you can see, that's my 2 epics. And then here's how much damage I do without any talismans. So wait, that's my accessory bag. Alright. So just put them here into the ender chest. So now not a single talisman is active for me. And if you're wondering, this is my talisman spam. None of these talismans count anyway. So let's go here. As you can see, I have some less health, I have less defense, and I certainly have less mana. So let's see how much damage I do now. So as you can see, I do around, 8,000 damage, 8,200 damage. As you can see here. However, you have to consider that I'm wearing 3.5 million coin armor, full godly, and I have a spicy thick tactician sword. This thing is like a 3.54 million coin sword. So, also, you probably won't have a sword like this. You probably have an asterisk at the end, and as you can see, I just barely do 4.5k, just over 5,000 damage with my aspect of the end, as you can see here. And that is with really good armor for damage. Like, full godly unstable gives you 23% crit damage for everything and 10 strength for everything, which is a lot of crit damage. You can see here, I still can't even do 6,000 damage. And if I take off my armor now, I'm really vulnerable. As you can see, I just do 3,000 damage. That's it. So basically, right now, my armor is contributing so much to my damage. Now, let me put on all my talismans again. And now, watch how much damage I do. Just talismans, guys. Just these small little orbs you get for doing various quests and getting different things. Boom. Like I said before, I do quite a bit of damage with all this. 4,900 damage. And see. As you can see here, there's just nothing special. Let me just add my piggy bank back here. Forgot to do that. Boom. Right, piggy bank. Forgot about that. And with all this, watch how much damage I do. So right now it says I do barely 15,000 damage, but actually I don't know what, but usually I do 15,600 damage with my talisman spam. During this video, I was doing far less damage than usual, so I'm not really sure why. 4,900 damage. Just 7 damage points off from 1,000 damage. That is how much damage I do with all of this stuff. See here? Boom. And this is just the power of the talismans. There's nothing special going on here. I just have my extra talismans out here. But on the main talisman spam, here is just these orbs. Look how much they help. I've tripled or doubled my entire stats. As you can see here, I now have 287 crit damage and 182 strength, which is really pretty good. It's full godly, as you can see here. Alright, so now let's get to the topic of this video, how to get talismans. So there's lots of talisman guide tutorials, but this is coming from someone who really understands like how someone can feel about talismans. You know, what is their use? Because a lot of the times when I ask people, how do you do so much damage? They just simply said one word, talismans, and didn't really understand what that meant. Like, talismans, okay, what is that supposed to do? However, now that you've really understood hands-on the true power of talismans, here's what I recommend to start your talisman spam. So first of all, get as many common talismans as possible. I know a lot of people say like focus on rares, focus on epics, and then don't really get the commons, but you see that is mostly a lot to do with later game talisman spamming. Which means like where I am, where I should be eliminating as many commons as possible. But early game, you can have all of these common talismans in your talisman spam bag, and it's perfectly fine. Craft any talisman you possibly can. Also, another common thing that I've noticed is that people do not know how to get their talisman bag. Here I have the largest talisman spam bag here. They do not understand how to get that bag to its full size. But basically, to get the bag to its full size, you need to get around 800,000 redstone in your collection, which I understand is a lot of redstone, but that is what will be required to do it. After you've gotten all the commons, and then most of these you can pretty much just craft. There's lots of recipes, but I really recommend you just buy them off Auction House. Don't try to get the recipe. They're really cheap on Auction House. So the commons obviously will need to be replaced with time, but with all the commons, you will have filled up, once you get the big accessory bag, you will have filled up a decent chunk of your accessory bag. Now, the commons you'll absolutely want to keep when you start replacing commons are these ones. So absolutely Fire Talisman, because you get on fire a lot in the early game of Skyblock. You know, when getting Fairy Souls requires you on being fire a lot. When you're just going in like the zombie area in the deep caverns, a lot of fire. Then Scavenger Talisman, monsters drop coins when killed. That is so important. Then Intimidation Talisman. This one is probably the most useful. Like those level 1 monsters, they're so annoying. They barely have any health, but they still target you. So Intimidation Talisman. So these three very important. And if you want, you can have a Speed Talisman. 3 speed. That's pretty good. So then, the first uncommon you should start getting is this Lava Talisman. Pretty expensive, but I really recommend you get it. Then, Gravity Talisman. This one is pretty cheap and has cool effect. Then this Campfire Adept Badge is very easy. You can get to uncommon simply with just a base amount of health of like 500 to 600. And then this Magnet Talisman, also extremely cheap. So as you can see, there's lots of talismans out there that are just really cheap and don't cost a lot and will really save you a lot of time with damage. So then now that you have, the uncommon talismans, get whatever uncommons you can, then you should start focusing on rare talismans. So rare talismans are probably the most confusing of all the talisman types, because some rare talismans are literally the rarest talismans in the game and go for 30 million coins, which is the bait ring. However, a lot of rare talismans are very good talismans, and they're not that hard to obtain. A lot of them are, but some of them are just good overall, and they aren't a complete pain to obtain. So those are the day crystals and night crystals. Very expensive, but I recommend it. Then Fish Affinity Talisman, don't get it yourself, just buy it. Pretty expensive. Then a Modest Ring of Love. So the Romero and Juliet quest, a lot of people might have told you just don't even attempt it, but getting it to this rare talisman will take you around 50,000 coins if you're lucky, which is not that bad. Then Feather Artifact. You can get this for about 30,000 coins on the auction house. Very useful. And the same goes for the Bat Talisman. Very cheap on auction house. This pig's foot is kind of situational. If you're really good with aspect at the end, if you have lots of mana, then you possibly can do that race, the end race, in under 48 seconds and get the pig's foot, because it is very expensive on auction house. And the same goes for this frozen chicken. You just get it from a race at the Jerry event. So to sum it up, these talismans right here, and the day crystal and the night crystal if you're willing to grind on your alternate, and the ring of love, very easy talismans to get on rare. Just stock up your money and you can get all of those rare talismans. That's a lot of rare talismans, and you can get all of those if you're lucky for under 250k. So after that, you have got those talismans. A lot of these talismans I've spent a lot of money getting. For example, this candy ring, I spent around 120k on this. This haste ring, 150k. So then those are very expensive. And then this spider ring, obviously I grinded for this spider ring. It's a lot of tarantula web for a player that's in the early game to do that many bosses. But if you really want to take it to the next level, I recommend Experience Artifact. This is really important in the game, and it is so useful. So actually grinding for this is a big pain, because it takes so much lapis. It takes an entire crafting table full worth of lapis enchanted blocks. So I recommend you buy it for 500k on the auction house. Very expensive, but it increases experience orbs by 25%. So just grinding combat XP will give you everything you ever asked for. Then, Melody's hair. This is probably my favorite talisman of them all. You can just hold it here and you can see, you can play notes. You can just have fun and play notes on them, and it's just great. This talisman requires you to do the Melody's hair quest. And this quest, well, it's pretty difficult if you don't have good ping. I recommend you having under 20 ping to do this quest. And once you have under 20 ping, it's pretty easy. Just focus. You need to have a pretty good mouse, but it's a pretty easy, rare epic talisman. And you get 50 intelligence from the quest, which is really good. Alright guys, that wraps up my talisman spam guide. I know it wasn't as specific as a lot of guides, but I think that you should follow this order. So to sum it up, in the beginning, get as many common talismans as you possibly can. Get all of them if you want. Then focus on the useful ones, like Lava Talisman, and whatever ones you can get under the uncommon, especially this Trial of Fire Badge and the Lava Talisman, very useful. Then when going for rares, do quests, like the Romero and Juliet, that's very useful, and races, like the Pig's Foot and the Frozen Chicken. These are really easy rare talismans. You just need a grappling hook and aspect of the end. And then you can start spending coins on Feather Artifact, that's also pretty cheap, and Bat Talisman, also pretty cheap. Then when you're ready to get some epics, I recommend you get the Experience Artifact, expensive but very useful, and do the Melody's hair quest. So the rest of my talismans, very expensive, over 500,000 coins, take a lot of grinding, and then after you get the talismans I just talked about, then you can start focusing on upgrading it. And I hope you liked this video, and see you guys in the next one. Bye!